Okay guys, so yesterday we worked on the eye here and you guys made it the furthest. I think we need to, I kind of did the eyebrow really fast, so I think I just need to kind of solidify that out, just kind of finish it out. Didn't get started, some of you did, some of you didn't. Okay, so then let's recap on the eyebrow. Okay, so eyebrow, the hairs on the far left hand side, they grow straight up and down. And then oh, it's frozen. That's right. Sorry, guys. Okay, then as you move towards the right, the hairs start laying down kind of horizontally. Okay, so then they start growing almost sideways. And then once we get to kind of the arch, then they start growing downwards. Just kind of straight, yeah, just kind of straight lines. Okay, it's always really important for your pencil to be sharpened when you do that. And then I can kind of go back and add in if I've got like kind of some weird shapes going on. I can go back in there and kind of fix those up a little bit. So a little wonky on the downwards facing eyebrow hairs, but it'll work. Okay, it'll work. All right, so I'll give you guys just a little bit to kind of catch up there. Okay. All right, and that's pretty much it for the eyeball. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the nose. So we're gonna switch back over to the H pencil and you need to make sure that it's nice and sharp to start. Okay. All right. Here we go on the nose. Okay. Yeah, like Mara. Here we go. Okay, hold up. Hey. Shh. Okay, so the nose, there's really technically only one area that you really draw in, and then everything else on the nose is all shading, how you put in your value. So some of you that's going to be a little tough, some of you that's going to be a little easier, okay? Also, notice that the nose is technically at an angle, okay? So it's not straight on. So like the bridge of the nose, when we draw it, it's not going to be straight. It's going to go in at an angle. And then the same thing, we see less of the left-hand side and more of the right-hand side. So just kind of keep that in mind as we're drawing this out, okay? So what we're going to do is the first thing is we're going to kind of section the nose out into shapes, okay? So the tip of the nose can just start as a circle. Okay, so we just got a circle. Okay, then you have a little bit of the nose that still kind of pulls down, so it's kind of like a trapezoidy shape pulling through here. So it's kind of like that. Add in a little trapezoid at the bottom there, and it'll all come together, I promise. Okay. Then over here on the left-hand side, kind of like right where the trapezoid and the bigger circle started, we're going to put in this left-hand nostril and we're going to put it in as a circle as well. But since we can't see very much of it, we're going to do a small circle that kind of overlaps into the larger circle. So kind of something like this. Okay, so it's just breaking it down into shapes. Okay, kind of repositioning my video there. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and get this right hand nostril, which is a lot larger than the left hand. So I'm going to draw a circle in there for that. Okay. Just like that. I hope you guys are keeping up.
Nope.
Maybe you should be. Maybe you should be keeping up. Okay, you just said that you weren't.
That wasn't him.
No, I know that's someone else, but then he had made another comment. Okay, guys. Patience is low today. Please don't make me be mad. Don't make me Hulk out. Which very rarely that happens with you guys at all. Okay, so everybody got these basic shapes going on? Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect them all out to where then we make the basic shape of the nose, and then we're gonna erase some of those shapes out, okay? So what I mean by that is I'm gonna start over, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start on the left-hand side of the nostril, and I'm just gonna start kind of solidifying out the actual shape of the nose, okay? So on this left-hand nostril, we're gonna have this shape here, and I'm gonna kind of let it duck down a little bit, angle downwards. Okay, so right here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and draw in that start of the nostril over here. Okay, so I've got that. Then I'm kind of connecting it down into this trapezoid that I made, and I'm gonna round that off a little bit. So I'll kind of pause. Okay, so just look here, watch what I do, and then you guys do it. So you start here, kind of solidify out this left-hand side on that nostril. Then I'm making that top part of like the nostril hole, basically. Then I'm coming in and connecting that line into my trapezoid while I'm rounding it out. Okay, so I'm like right here on the nose. So then I'm gonna work up that other part of the trapezoid, come up here, connect it with this right hand circle. Okay, like this. I'm just kind of going over it and over it again so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going up the right hand side and kind of solidifying out that nostril right in there. Okay, so I basically just made one big kind of curvy line. You guys see that? Okay, now I'm gonna also put in the actual like nostril holes, okay? So I'm gonna do that over here, and you basically kind of have like a teardrop shape or an oval right there. And then you have kind of the same thing happening here. So I'm gonna make like a little hill, kind of like what we did when we made the eye. Then I'm gonna go ahead and curve it down. So I'm basically drawing out an oval that has a tail. Okay, oval with a tail. Okay, and I'm gonna pause. You guys got that okay? Is everybody kind of making sure that the right-hand side is larger than the left-hand side, so it kind of looks like it's on a slant? Okay, if you got that far, then you're doing good. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna erase out some of my marker lines that I don't need anymore. So like this big circle, all that, I'm gonna go ahead and take that out. Okay, so I'm just using my regular eraser here to kind of erase out all those extra lines that I don't really need anymore. Okay? Just like that. Yeah. I know it kind of looks a little wonky, or it probably looks a little wonky. That's going to be correct. We're just going to work through it with our shading. Okay? All right, everybody good? Move on? Yep, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our... Did someone say no? And then I just ignored you? Okay, sorry. Let me explain. I'll explain what we're going to do to give you time to catch up. So what we're going to do with our H pencil is we're going to go in and start putting in our really light values. Okay, so just really, really basic light shading, and then it's not going to take very much. So basically what I'm talking about is in here, kind of on this left-hand side, just very barely, very lightly, just putting in some value there, doing some light value inside the nose, and maybe a little bit on the right-hand side, and then we'll switch over to the B pencil. Okay, did that give everybody enough time to catch up? That needed to. Okay. All right, here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, I'm going to start in the upper left, and the way that I'm going to start is kind of by drawing out the bridge of my nose just a little bit. And remember that it is kind of slanted. If you look at this line, notice that it should be kind of in the pathway of going towards like the space in between the tip of the nose and the nostril. So you kind of want it to match up that way. So I'm not getting that arch enough, so I need to kind of arch it a little bit more, and then I need to angle out a little bit more. Just a little, just kind of like that. Okay? Then the other arch, or the other side, bridge of the nose, it's going to follow that same angle and come up there like that. Okay, so now we kind of have basically the bridge of the nose. So remember that these are kind of pointing down to a left-hand angle rather than being straight. So don't make them straight up and down or your nose will look broken. Okay, all right, so now I've got a little bit of shading up here inside the actual bridge of the nose. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of put that in. And I'm going to try to make it as smooth as I can, so that when I use my tortillon, it blends it out real nicely. Okay, then I'm gonna work at adding some really light shading, really light, like a 2 or a 3 on this left-hand side. Okay, just really light. I'm gonna come back down here too, around the nostril, add some of that in. Okay, there's that. Okay, then I've got some light shading happening over here on the right-hand side. I'm going to darken up some of that with the B pencil. Right now I'm just kind of putting down a really light base value. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and start giving my, am I going a little too fast? A little bit? Okay, I'll slow down a little bit. I'll kind of pause. So I'm just trying to kind of get the very basic shapes happening. Very basic value. Okay, did I give you guys enough time to catch up? Okay. All right, now I'm going to go in and kind of define the shapes of the kind of like the nostril and the tip of the nose by starting out with this really light pencil. So I'm going to start working some value into the top of this left-hand nostril, and I'm just going to try and copy my worksheet as closely as I can. Okay, so I'm kind of following almost that curvature of the circle that I had drawn in before, just to kind of give that roundness quality happening there. Okay, this tip of the nose actually gets really, really dark, so I'm just going to wait for my B pencil on that one. Then I can add some real light value that I'll probably have to use my eraser and kind of pull back out on the top here of this right-hand nostril. Okay, so right now I'm just adding some real light value in, and probably going to be going over a lot of it with my B pencil. But for right now, I just kind of want to get the suggestions of that, of the shape in there. Okay, all right, that's probably good for H. So now we're going to switch over to the B pencil. How's everybody doing so far? Okay? Looks like your nose is broken. Yeah. That's real. That was my #1 problem whenever I did portraits. I could never get my shading to line up on my bridge of my noses, and they always looked broken somehow. No, we can't leave the nose out. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and start working our B pencil, and let's practice by working our dark values in these upper parts. So I'm going to work in the upper left here, and all I'm really doing is just kind of copying the shapes that I see over there, okay? So I'm going to start laying in some of this darker value, and like I said, kind of just mimicking what I'm seeing on my worksheet there as closely as I can. If it's not exact, that's okay. I'm going to kind of darken up this value that I had in there just a little bit. Kind of start giving that nose a little bit of a dimension. Okay, now I'm going to work some of these, and some of this gets real dark over here, so I'm going to push my value a little bit more. Okay, so just kind of pushing it to get a little darker in some of these areas. There we go, not too bad. Okay, now I'm going to start working my dark values up here in the upper right. Okay, it gets really, really dark closer to the bridge of the nose, kind of right in this area. So I'm using more pressure right there. Then as I move downwards, it starts kind of fading out a little bit. So I'm going to start using less and less pressure as I move down. And then real lightly, I'm going to kind of work a little more value into that H value that I had put down previously. Okay, and I'm going to smooth that out later. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to come down. I'm going to start working at the value that's around, up and around the outside of this right hand nostril. So it gets really, really dark right in here. Okay, and it even, as it kind of outlines this bottom part of the nose, it's real, real dark in that area. So I'm going to really push that value in there. And then as I move away, it's going to get lighter and lighter. And I kind of have this shape going on. Okay, guys, so I just drew in the shape of my cast shadow, just like we've done when we've done like the sphere and stuff like that. But this is how the cast shadow shape looks. Okay, so the cast shadow, when it's up next to the nose, it almost is kind of like a really dark outline. And then as it moves further away from the nose, it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter. So you're going to have to kind of vary up your pressure. Okay, so working a lot of varied pressure in this area. Okay. All right, just like that. Okay. I need to pause for a little bit. Just a second. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fill in like the actual nostril hole. And it's pretty much as dark as we can possibly get it. So I'm going to go to a full 10. Okay, you guys getting this? Okay, at a full 10 right here. Don't forget, it's kind of like an oval with a tail, or kind of like a teardroppy shape on its side. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and start working the value in the nostril itself and then kind of above here with the B pencil, because it does get fairly dark in here. So I'm going to start on the top part, and all I'm doing is I'm just trying to copy my picture, what I've got going on over there. Okay, to see a difference between values, I want to make sure that this side of the nostril is lighter than the value that I put on the right hand side of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fill that in, almost kind of like solid for right now. And then I can use an eraser in a little bit to kind of pull some of that back out. Okay, I'm going to jump up to the top part of this nostril. And I'm going to kind of angle that out a little bit. And I'm going to start adding in that little patch of dark value right there.
Yes, I just told you
That kind of flows up into this other value that I put on the right hand side of the nostril, or bridge, nose bridge. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to start working some value into the tip of the nose. It gets pretty darn dark down there, so I'm not going to hold back. Going to go ahead and place a lot of value in that area. Got kind of like a bump right there. So guys, again, I'm just trying to copy out what I'm already seeing on my worksheet. Okay. Shh. Stay with me, guys. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to bounce over to the left-hand side of my nose, and I'm going to fill in this left-hand nostril. Okay, and guys, I will be doing a 25-point check on this worksheet, so I really hope that you're keeping up with me. Okay, then on the left-hand side of this nostril, going to add in a little darker value, kind of angle that out just a little bit more. Cameron, whatever you're doing to antagonize them, just stop. And Michaela, just don't even look at him then. Just stare at your paper and then it won't be a problem. Okay, guys, so I'm just kind of trying to finish up. Adding in some of the dark value over here. Going to kind of re-emphasize this kind of curvedness to the tip of the nose. And then we're going to be ready to blend. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and then we're going to need our tortillon. Okay. We're just going to pause for a second and let everybody catch up and then we're going to blend. All right, here we go, blending. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just start with the top areas. So I'm going to start here at the top right. I'm just going to work my way down and around. Okay, so now everything that you're focusing on right now is you're just focusing on blending it out, kind of moving that value around where you need it. You can also vary up your pressure on your tortillon too. So if it needs to be lighter, don't press down as hard on the paper with your tortillon. Okay, so don't panic if you kind of overvalue in some area. That's okay. That's what our erasers are for. Okay, so I'm just working at getting this all blended out and going through and getting some nice gradual fading. So if you have trouble with that, you really need to practice it here where you soften up your pressure as you move away from the darkest areas. Okay, now I'm going to kind of work in the nose itself, and then I'm going to try and keep my tortillon kind of moving, giving me those curves that I want to see. Okay, I want a little bit of value in here. Not too much. Working on the left-hand side of the nose. I don't have very much value happening in there. Gonna kind of adjust my nostril here. Kind of extend it out a little bit.
You call me a freaking pig. I don't like it.
Hey guys, so you all should be working on blending right now. And then I'm probably going to need to take some dark areas out or kind of re-emphasize some areas with to give highlights and stuff with my kneaded eraser. Okay, so I'm kind of done blending for the most part. And so I'm going to go ahead and move on to my kneaded eraser and kind of look at where are some highlights that I need to pull some of the value back out. Kind of in this area here. So it might be different for you. You may not have to pull out value in the same places that I'm needing to pull value out. Okay guys, so kind of blend and then start using your kneaded eraser to take out the areas that you got too dark.
Can we just take like a regular eraser? Or does that
You could. The kneaded eraser gives you a little more finesse, a little more control. Okay, so I've got some highlights up here, like at the top of this right hand nostril that I need to put in there. Got a little bit of one down here. Okay. All right, guys, that's all we have time for today. We will we'll do the lips tomorrow. Monday, that is correct. I don't want to be here tomorrow either. All right, guys, good job.